fashion panel. No, this is somebody's Facebook. Not mine even. Okay, so these are the participants in our panel. Here behind you is TheGarconiere. That's a blog about fashion for men by Sahar Shalev, and Sahar is here with us. He's a writer and creative person. And then we're just gonna take this one by one, and you're gonna watch me do the search, but that will help you later do the search yourself when you're looking for their blogs and boutiques. As you can see, they all have really good SEO. So Yaara Keydar, sitting here, used to be the head of design for men in Castro, and then left about a year ago to start her own fashion line for women. If anybody is going to get married anytime soon, she's your lady. And she has an online portfolio and blog that got a lot of traction in a very, very short time. And then sitting almost at the top is Mirit Weinstock. She's a fashion designer who started online the MissMi project, which was a very cool project in which she located on the web women photographers from all over the world and sent them her clothes and had them take their photos in it and send them back to her, and created this amazing online catalog just like that, just participating online. And I will find that in a minute. And then Hilla Ohayon is a writer for Galeria, the art, culture, and fashion section of Haaretz, and is director of social marketing for Zinza Fashion, which is an online marketplace for fashion, which I happen to be the founder of. So I'll just find those two for you, and we'll take it from there. And the question we're gonna try and ask here in general is Twitter fitting for discussing fashion at all, being that it's not visual and there's not a place for a lot of text? And that's not so good as yet. And unlike, I don't know how many of you saw the panel about fashion in the 140 conference in New York, but they were really looking to talk about how big brands can find their personal voice in order to Twitter about fashion on the web. We're going to ask the exact opposite, how starting designers in countries like Israel, maybe coming from faraway places, and bloggers, how can they manifest and create a voice for themselves that will be heard all over Twitter and amplified by Twitter. So I'm gonna start with Sal. When I asked Sal about Twitter, his answer was that TheGarconiere is retrosexual, so still trying to figure out what Twitter is. Could you walk us through that phrase and how you use Twitter?
Well, the retrosexual is a term made by Art of Manliness. It's another blog for men's fashion, men's identity, and they decided that the new man, which is not the metrosexual and not the homosexual and not any other man that was in the recent history, is a man that is actually interested in fashion, aware of the history of men's fashion, the history of the men's closet, and he's very interested in thrift shops, vintage look, going back to workwear, American fashion, etc., etc. And this man is like start to actually develop his own identity, which is not like, again, homosexual or heterosexual or something. And there is something vintagey about this man. And Twitter
is vintage.
Isn't.
Not just yet.
Not just yet.
So anybody out here, if you're interested in fashion, you're not homosexual or metrosexual, you are the retrosexual. And so for those of you who do use Twitter for your fashion needs, like Hilla, what's your following policy? Like who do you follow?
I guess the biggest benefit of Twitter for me as a fashion user is not feeling guilty towards my 1,000+ on Google Reader, because Twitter has been my fashion feed, and I see everything that I need to read. Like if I'm being called saying, I need a new item in like 2 hours, give me this, and I don't have a clue on what
When
to
she
write
means,
about.
excuse me, when she means somebody calling her asking for a
From
new
the paper.
item, she means that the newspaper are calling up her editor and saying, you know, I need a piece, 200,
Yeah.
500 words.
So I just go on Twitter, just go to my list of my fashion feed, I read everything that is just happening right now. I'm the first to write about it now. I'm the first to know about it in Israel. So it's like making my life so much easier.
So is it supplementing, is it instead of your RSS feed?
Absolutely.
I mean, so you don't use your reader anymore?
I'm not feeling guilty about it.
Okay, so Twitter instead of reader for all fashion purposes. Mirit, what about you? How do you use Twitter?
For fashion designers, I think it's kind of a problem, the lack of images, especially in a visual world such as fashion. But then again, when you have images, sometimes you skip the text. So Twitter kind of gives you the opportunity to do both. And for me, I love text. So I collect all these fashion sentences and quotes. I put them and then I link to them picture and it give like my followers one picture.
So, for example, I think one of your favorite quotes is from Diane von Furstenberg, right?
No, Diana Verdon.
Oh, that's right.
The editor of Vogue. And yeah, that you don't have to be extremely beautiful to be extremely attractive.
So, for all of us out there, you don't have to be extremely beautiful to be extremely attractive. Yaara, how do you use Twitter? And like, could you share a story? When again, and I'm quoting from the 140 conference panel about fashion in New York. There were the founder of Guild was saying how people sometimes approach them and send over their lookbooks, just a link to their lookbooks on their Twitter, and that they actually recruited two designers like that. Has anything even remotely similar happened to you? Do you use Twitter that way?
Yeah, I do. But
Surprising.
Yeah. I think for me the main issue is about making friends, and I think with that, this is how I developed my relationships online. And I was following a fashion blogger, Fashion P, who's very famous in Israel. I think she's the most successful blogger, fashion blogger in Israel. And I was following her, and we never met before, and she was tweeting, like, I think it was like once a week, that she's looking for a dress for her brother's wedding, and she can't find the right dress, and she's looking everywhere, and she tried that on, and it wasn't right, and she was just, and she was kind of miserable, and she's a beautiful girl. It's not that it's supposed to be hard for her to look great. So I decided to write her that I'm reading her tweets, and maybe I can help, by making her dress. And she loved it. I mean, we started working together, and I think there's also in my blog, going to my blog, I was documenting the whole thing, because we never met before, but today we're really good friends.
It's too slow. You're just going to have to tell us about it.
Just go down. This one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is down, and this post is really about my life online, because I'm a very online person, and I also met my husband online. And
You did?
And I know that there are people that they have a problem with it, but to me, I think it's, being online, and the internet is one of the most incredible things. So this post is really about that. And if you go up a little, then you can see the
Twitters?
the tweets from down. And
So this is her first tweet about how she's looking for her wedding gown.
And it took me some time to write her, but eventually I did it, and the outcome was great, I think.
And that's wow. So you have the entire process of how the
dress
online
making,
life, and the
which
online.
is quite opposite to
Yeah.
Twitter.
going offline. And what do you think about the voice on Twitter? Because, Yaara, I mean, you all have sort of brands. Hilla is doing Sense of Fashion, Mirit is doing Mirit Weinstock, and the MissMi project. Sahar, you're doing TheGarconiere, you're doing your Yaara Keydar. What is the correct voice for an account, a Twitter account that is also sort of representing a brand or a blog? Hilla, what are your thoughts about that?
I think that my approach to the whole thing is just be me and not to change who I am for the brand that I'm representing. And this is what I do also, like my personal Twitter account and one that I use for Sense of Fashion are pretty similar. Like I'm not hiding anything from neither. I think that you have to choose the approach that you want to show to your followers, stick to it, and just be there. Be constantly, be the same one you are always, like every day. Be there.
So will you write personal stuff on your official Twitter?
I think I do. I'm not noticing it, but I probably am. I do? Okay. But most of my following and followers that are not on my fashion feed are people that I know, like most of them are here.
Right.
Most of them are my friends. So I'd be telling them the same if I saw them every day. So for me, it's the same like talking to my friends.
And did that bring any results? I mean, I know the answer already, so just go ahead and brag who's like your new follower. I want you to.
So the miracle that happened on my following list, my followers list, there's this, at the 140 conference in New York, they presented the voice, the Twitter account of DKNY. It's their PR girl who's being followed by
130,000 followers. Yeah, the DKNY girl.
It's the most successful fashion Twitter account today. She also won the Fashion 2.0 this year. Nobody knows who she is, and she's been following 300 people.
And Hilla is one of them with her very personal Twitter blog.
Yeah, not only my personal one, and she started following Sense of Fashion last week because it's the same for me. Like I use it the same. So I'm very, very proud to be catching 2 of her following list.
And Mirit, what do you think about the voice that you put on Twitter? Like, what makes it? Does it have to be very official? Do you keep it real? How do you do that?
I try to make it as personal as possible because I think my voice is personal is much more intimate than my voice to journalists and editors and bloggers and so on. So this is a chance to just write something for me, something that inspired me, anything that I had, a question that I'm thinking about the length for next season or whatever, and just share it.
And do people react? Like when you're asking, are you asking questions?
Sometimes, and sometimes with links, so it's interesting.
So Sal, why do you think a personal voice is a good match for fashion?
Well, as you can see, you said before that Twitter is language-based. But if you go to the internet and see all the blogs, all the fashion blogs, I think that 80% of them are not like just photography. Most of them are textual. So I think fashion is also about language. I know from TheGarconiere that writing in Hebrew about fashion, especially men's fashion, it was really hard to find like words in Hebrew to describe articles in men's fashion or in fashion in general. You know, double-breasted jacket. You know, say it in Hebrew.
Nobody wears it, but not
Well,
talks about it.
Well, you know, it's something that comes and it's very trendy, and you know, I wanted to write about it and Twitter. So you know, fashion is texture. It's also about thoughts of people. So I think that blogs and Twitter is part of the fashion discourse, and it's something that gives fashion another dimension of thoughts about fashion, about the history of fashion, and about you know, what people think about fashion, and that's, you know, part of the whole world. It's not about just images.
So text is part of fashion, and that's why Twitter is right for it. The TheGarconiere blog is also, by the way, one of those blogs where they first started out with the blog and then had the conventional, the print magazine, the Galeria again from Haaretz, come to them and say, we want your writing in our newspaper. Yaara, what kind of people do you follow on Twitter? Is it just fashion people?
No, it's not just fashion people.
Okay.
I'm really into culture.
That's
So it's not my main thing in Twitter is not the fashion part. It's lots of friends, but the friends that interest me. They have something interesting to say. And also, I think there's a bit of sarcasm, at least in my Twitter account. So I find it interesting, it makes my day go by like perfect. And I follow people who I find like a personal note in their tweets, I can relate to their lifestyle, to their interests. Even if it's just movies or music or just, really.
Do we still have, how long do we have? 3 minutes. Okay, so just one last question. Do any of you follow big fashion brands on Twitter? And if you do, why? Or fashion writers, what would attract you to follow them? Yeah.
I hope that I'm following all of them. I really hope so. Why am I following them? For example, yesterday was Dior's couture fashion show. Dior US, that's the Dior account on Twitter. We're tweeting tweet peeks from the show. It's like front row seat from your house under your AC. It's like, it can't get any better. So you get everything that is happening right now from the brands, not from PR or magazines. It's just one more dimension of getting everything. That's why.
So who's like your top favorite designer? Yeah. Like 10 tops? Name 3. Name 3. So Sophie's choice here, the fashion Sophie choice.
Designer?
Yeah.
Well, I can say that the old my favorite designer, he actually brought me into fashion. This is about Daria now, and then I'll say.
And so do you follow any of them? Do you follow anybody?
Flag is fried chicken. From the Hamptons.
Oh, okay.
I doubt that he has any Twitter.
Maybe do you follow Stella McCartney, for example, or
Yeah, but for me it's more interesting. For example, I follow Sarah, the owner of Colette, the store in Paris,
Okay.
and it's interesting for me to see who is she going to see, what showroom she's visiting, what is she picking for next season and stuff like that. More from she's, I don't know, a buyer is a small word for her, but it's very interesting. Colette is the biggest important fashion store today.
So it's really you're getting the insider information about what Colette is doing.
Yeah, and what is she looking for, what is interesting for her, and that might be even more interesting for me than the designers themselves.
Okay, so thank you everyone. I'll wrap it up just I think by saying that I guess Twitter for fashion is like a really good RSS feed. You get your insiders and you get to say a few words before people just go on to watch photos. Thank you everyone.